Okay. What we did so far. One, we did the installation. Second, we did introductions to database. And then we did introductions to Python. Okay? What we're going to do today, it's really build up on everything we have done and use a framework called Django. And Django is a package in Python, meaning written in Python. And that's what we're going to use to build up a whole application. So theoretically, what we will do today, it's really review of what we did in Python. We will do a review of how we use Python to integrate to a database. We'll learn a little bit about the structure of a project. Okay? That's what we'll do today and the next time. Moreover, there are a lot of topics. We're not going to go over it in this level. We'll go over it in a higher level. We'll go here in basic knowledge in Django, you know. Then we'll talk a little bit about JavaScript, but this is a whole topic, beautiful topic relating to client side. There's graphs, geo, chart, server. That's all advanced topics. We mostly focused on the first 2 or 3 and to some extent. Okay, so that's what we'll do in the next 2 to 3 sessions. So let's start. I'm going to open the pie chart. Yeah, just switch to the threads project. And to remind you, okay, we installed all of that. I'm going to run it. Now, if you notice, it is like a Python command right in here. And there's a small file called manage.py. It's really sitting right under the web. You can see there is this file. If you double click on it, it's nothing but a small Python, you can call it application. Why is it an application? We won't go over it in this course because it's diverging to other things. It's really a simple application in Python. When you run it, instead of Python, you run this one, it's literally running this file. And what do we have in here? Okay, it's coming, it usually this is just a definition of a function as we studied. It's a simple main function written in Python, and we know how that's written. There's some other things we didn't cover yet, but we will talk about it. But basically, it's a function. And then when this file is run by Python, the Python is looking for this function. It gets to this point, and it's just activating this if name is main. Usually when in Python running a file like that, this is really the main route to the application. So when he's running this one, okay, this is core, this is true, the name of this is main, okay? And then if find it, it's running this function, meaning it's running this function. Bottom line, we're running this one. When it's running this one, it's taking some information from other places. Let me click here. There's another package of Python called OS. There's another package of Python called SYS. We'll talk about it today. Don't worry about it for now. Okay, don't worry about it now, because I didn't talk about the structure of how to call other packages of Python. But basically, if there are some packages, let's say OS is a package that is in Python. It was installed automatically when we install Python. OS is for operating systems. This one, it's another package dealing with some system issues. Okay, those two packages, when I write them, all the functions, all the classes that are in here, they are automatically brought into here. I will give more specific examples and we'll go along in a second, okay? For now, all what it means, you can borrow some function from here, okay? Moreover, if you see here, there's another line from Django core management. This is another package that came with when we installed Django. If you remember, when we did the installation of the requirements, we installed Django. When we installed Django, in fact, we installed a lot of packages that belongs to Django. And this package has several type packages, okay? The same was the other one, we will see them as we go along, okay? So this is basically saying from this sub-package, meaning in Django has a sub-package called core, under the core it has another one. Inside there is some function called execute from command line. Do I really need to know all of that? Frankly, I don't care. The beauty here, I just know that these functions does the job, meaning, okay, I'm entering Python manage py. This is an argument that goes into this file. It's being read right here, okay? In fact, when I type run server, it comes to here. When it comes to here, is running this function, transferring whatever I'm typing. So if I were writing run server right into here, you know, you can avoid the whole function. It would be just fine. But that's general knowledge. Frankly, we don't care. That's later on, when you get to level 2, when we dive into deeper, that will make a lot more sense. For now, all we want to know is that many things in Django, which is the framework, we just write Python manage. This one is really calling a function inside Django and taking this one as a variable. There's one more thing I want to emphasize, it's worth to emphasize in this point. One thing which is really important, it's only this one, okay? We'll come back to that. What is Django setting module? We'll talk about it. One thing is immediately we can see is running, is looking for the environment, or more correctly to say as environment variables. There's a variable called Django setting module. It needs that variable. While it takes that one, I'm giving it to him. That is the variable. So it's like I'm setting a default in the environment. Now, if you remember, when we did the installation of the package, we created the projects and we created an environment. We call the environment threads-env, if you remember. So this environment needs a default variable to operate the Django in the right way. How does it work? We don't really care. All I want to know is that I need to provide this variable. In fact, if you look at that, threads.settings.div, that's the only thing that we really care here. All the rest we don't really care. What is this one? This one tells him where is the default of many things I want to operate the Django. Pay attention, we're talking about the Django package, which we 90% of what we're gonna do in the next few sessions is talk about Django framework. Later on, when we get to machine learning, we have that nice structure where we'll see how we add functionality of machine learning into this framework, which is really nice. Give us a lot of power, be very efficient in learning machine learning, okay? By the way, maybe it's a good time. I don't know why I closed it. If I open the package for machine learning that we will use in machine learning, so I will open it and I put it in a new version. See, it's very similar. It has the core. See that? Have the core, have intro to machine learning. It has a main. Now, if we go to our pie chart, to the other one, see, it's very similar. You just have here, it's trades. I have applications. I have several ones of them. I have main and to do. I don't know if you have the other one. I don't think you have those ones. I will give you later on, and I will talk about them later on. Those are extensions that I'm expecting you to be able to add. Okay? But those two, you know, here I have library, game store, V-billings. If you look at the other one, the other project of machine learning, same things. It just, instead of thread, it says machine learning. Then I have the apps. Under the apps, I have several applications. If you click here, the main, you see I have several files in Python. We'll talk about them in a minute. Some things very similar. You look at the projects in machine learning, same things. See the main, and you look at the other one, they are just the same. Click on the main, very similar. Admin, apps, forms, models, test, yours, viewers. Pay attention to the other one, very similar structure. Machine learning, see I have views, URLs, that's the other one, views, URL. Here I have the test, I didn't need it, I can delete it. Most of the time we won't use it. Models, okay? Here I have models, that's the other one. We have also models, okay? Every package in Django is similar. Every application, it's very similar, has very similar structure, what it makes it so nice. Now, please excuse me, many things I will say today will kind not make sense, but don't give up. As I will repeat myself, okay, it will make sense. So first, before we start, so we can really understand it very well, I'm gonna open a notepad and explain what is the structure of a Django application, which is a web application. We have layer, we call it presentation layer. I will describe it in a minute. Then we have another layer, we call it the logical layer. And then we have a third one, we call it the database layer. Now, we talked about database layer. We studied Python. And what is Python here? Python will be mostly in this layer and helping to create this layer. I will repeat. Python will be mostly in this layer, and I will explain what I mean by that. And it will help to build up the presentation layer, and will help to communicate to the database. So Python is everywhere. But whoever wrote Django using Python created the framework and the communication between everything's here and make it work. Let's take our example, okay? And first of all, I want to explain what are those three layers, and then we'll dive in to understand them. Let's start here, okay? I'm running this command, Python manage run server. A server is running. We did it right after we did the installation. We clicked here, we got a program. This is the presentation layer. Everything that I see, everything that I can put information here, you see I can put information, student, user ID, login, I think it's admin, and SQL1 page, I remember. Here we go, I got it. I put information, the information got in using the presentation layer. I made an application called To Do. I don't know if we played with it, but let's look at it, okay? Let's put here a name, Amos. This is, I'm putting data. Okay, yeah, we did. Okay, so Amos. Okay, I'm just typing, it's a Amos Baranes. I'm just putting my name. Okay, I see it's presentation. I'm entering data. It's the presentation layer. I submit. That's also presentation. I'm communicating through the presentation layer. I click, it went and did whatever it needs to do, and in a minute I will talk about it, and eventually came back to me and show me that information in the bottom here. Okay, so that is the presentation layer, entering and receiving information. 2, what is the database layer? Here we talked about this one. We saw what it is. Now I want to show what is the database layer, and then I will link those two together. So what is the database layer? Let's open our little elephant. Remember, in the very beginning, we installed the database. We created a database called Threads. We made a user to communicate to it. And first of all, just to get your curiosity right away, what happened? Okay, get your curiosity. Let's go to a database we created called Threads. By the way, you can have several databases. By the way, here I have Threads for this project. Ah, yeah. Go ahead, Liam.
Liam, if you have a questions up until now.
Any question, Liam?
No.
Wonderful. Remember that, yeah, Liam, you remember this one when we created the Threads. We created a user called Threads. We gave that user information at the properties. You can see, we call him Threads. We gave them a password, we can't use it. We give him all the privileges to create whatever he wants. And interestingly, that when I go into and then when we created the database, this one, we said the owner is this user. So this user has the ability to manipulate anything he wants inside here. But in a minute, I'll describe how it's actually done. That's really beautiful. In fact, honestly, the course is starting now. What we have done so far, it's introductory to introductory. Okay, so when I click here, I go to schema, and here we have several tables. Those tables, by the way, were created by Django. I will explain it later on in more detail. For now, you see there is a table called to-do_item. This is a table that is in the database. I'm going to do view, all rows, and here you go. If you notice, the last row is the one I just typed a second ago. So one more time. We are in the presentation layer. I'm entering, now I will write here, and Hanoch class. Okay, I will click submit. In the presentation layer, I entered something. I click something that does communications to the logical layer, and I will explain how it's being done. The logical layer took that information and I claim put it in the database layer. Let's see if I'm right. Let's go back here. That's exactly the same table we just saw a second ago. I'm going to refresh it. Remember, I'm in the database. The PG admin, it's the editor for the database. So I'm clicking here, and here we go. You see, it's added a new row. In another word, the presentation layer gives me the ability to put something here. I click here, it's push it to the logical layer. The logical layer know how to communicate to the database and put the data inside that specific table. So how the logical layers know how to communicate the database? Somebody has all the work. The guys that wrote Django have created an object that know how to communicate to the database. In order for Django to know how to communicate the database, we already have maybe seen before, and we're really going to show it now. If you see, we have a directory called setting. And now you see the div here. So if you look at that, we have threads, settings, div. That looks familiar by now. If we double click on the manage, that's exactly the link in which Django received the configurations, how to do something. Don't be intimidated if it doesn't make sense to you right now. It will as time goes by. Meaning, under this directory, this file, specific file, when I double click on it, this is the file. Now, we learn that we have class inheritance. This is really cool. This is the work of Django. The people that wrote Django told us, you know, you have the div file, but you have another file, which we're not going to cover in this. That's ready for level 2 and 3 when we do deployment. For now, we work on development only. So here I can put some configurations. Here it's about the database. And it tells you when you want to put something, or if there is any component in Django wants to communicate to the database, use what we call a driver. For you, you don't really care, for now at least. Later on, it makes more sense if you use different databases, but for now, we really don't care. All what you really care, it's about those 4 lines. Okay, this one you also don't really care. When we install Postgres, we specify the port, it's 5432. When you review the material of the first 2 sessions when we did the installations, like the first one when we installed the Postgres, we left the default port to be 5432, okay? So we don't really care about it. We usually keep the port. In productions, we might change that for security and other reasons. Secondly, I'm telling Django that I want him to communicate to a database that is sitting on my computer. For example, if I had a computer that has a Postgres in totally different place in the world, I would change this one to an IP address of that computer. So if I install database on Amazon Web Services, I would get an IP address from Amazon telling me this is the address of that computer. I would just plug it here. And then instead of using the Postgres sitting on my computer, it will use this one. When you get to a level 2 and 3, okay, we do it much more sophisticated than that. We will use even a container, and we don't really know what containers mean now, to communicate. We can have the database in the same computer, but as if it is in our own computer. But that's really advanced topics. We get there as we go along. So for now, we really don't care about this one too, because in this course, we all work on database on our own computer. This one, it's the name of the database. If you recall, we call the database trades, right? The database, it's called trades. Second, which user we are using to communicate to this database. The user, we also called him trades, okay? in yours, okay, I ask you to type here trades. So you change that most likely to trades. I followed the instructions, and when I instructed you and others, I might replace that. It doesn't really matter. As long as I put here the password of this user as I put it in here, when we define this user, we gave him a user. So if I want to make sure that the communication will be right, I can just retype here SQL1 paste. If I want to change it, let's say on a production, I want to put totally different user and different password, all what I need to make sure is the password here will be exactly the one I type right in here, okay? For example, in machine learning, let's see what I put in machine learning. I don't even remember, but the structure is so similar. When we go into the div here, we got, here I put the password to be ML, okay? So when I build the database ML, I put a user ML and I gave him a password ML. Okay, it's working on my computer and has the same port. So this is the only things that's really important here. There's another types of databases. We won't get into that now. In the more advanced course, we dive into deeper, which give us a lot of flexibility and a real production environment. Okay, for now, we just want to move on to get the basic understanding so we can move to a course like machine learning, okay? So we're learning about structure of an application, and later we're starting dealing with algorithm and machine learning, or in business intelligence, whoever is taking that course, okay? But both of them are, you see that the parallel is really one-to-one. That's why I always say, take this course first and then take the other one second. So here is really, I could just take this password, okay? I can really change it if I want, but I have to change it also in the database, otherwise it won't work. So here, it probably was the same. When I save it, okay, it has to work. It's already worked. I just explain the link between those two. So let's summarize those 2 points out of 3. We have a presentation layer. We typed in something. We communicated by clicking the submit. We communicated to the logical layer. The logical layer gathered information, looked at it, and was asked to put it in a table in the database. How this logical layer knows how to communicate, we give it all the parameters of how to communicate to the database. And where we put that information, that is in the div, in the setting div. If you look at the online, you see courses, they usually don't put that nice structure. That's the structure that I built to make life easy. One last things about the configuration. This is not the only configuration. In fact, if you look at the first line, it says form.base import star mean import everything. What does it really mean? It means take this one and combine it with all the parameters in another file called base. See there is a base here? When I say form.base, it means form a file called base.py sitting on the same directory. So since base and div are on the same directory, that's why I put the dot here. Dot base means look at everything's inside here, bring it to here. That's why I have the start. Import everything to here. So this is like kind of inheritance that Django is using. So if I double click here, we're not going to go over that right now. As we go along, we dive into it. There's a lot of configurations, a lot of things. To make the site secure, we use key secrets. And this one, we change it in deployment. Those one we learn, that's a whole different course. How we deploy and making sure that no one will have any access to those keys or secret keys. So all the communications between the presentation layer to the logical and database is all secured by a really long 128 key, which is really what here we use, but we use different key in production. So sum it up. We have a configurations file, which Django know how to communicate to the database. This is where we put the configurations. We tell him, you're going to use Postgres, use this driver to communicate to the Postgres. This Postgres going to be sitting on my computer, that's the address. Localhost means this computer. I could write here 127.0.0.1, same things. IP address of the local computer is always 127.0.0.1, same things. Which port to use? It's 5432. What does it mean port? We don't really care in this stage. We'll come back to that in a later on, okay? That's the bottom line about communicating between the logical layer to the database. So what is the logical layer? How do we set it up? And now it's really the important things. I will just present it today and dive into it a little bit. And as we go along, I will expose it more and more. And then we'll see the beauty. How do we do things in the logical layers that help us not only populate data into database to tables that exist, also even build new data tables and tell Python/Django, go ahead and create more tables. Moreover, in here we also put a code how to create presentation layers. So this is really beautiful. Django took the logical layer to be also a logical in the sense of creating more content here, structure here, and the other presentation layer. I might not be clear because I really have a lot of stuff to swallow in one time, but let's go slowly. Let's really go ahead.
Can I try to sum up?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That's exactly.
No, I'll try.
Yeah, why ahead? Go ahead. You want to try it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So from what I've understood, when you're running the program, you take it to the manage.py folder, which takes you to trades.settings.dev, which has a link to the database, but also imports something from the base, which enables security.
Beautiful. You got it. Let's say 85%, which is a lot first round. Okay, this is beautiful. Let's start. What you said, I like a lot what you started with. When I running this program, okay, this program goes to this file manage and tell him, I want you to run a server. This one is open up. He gets to here. He said, set up a general variable to the environment Django seeding module. He set up this one. He gets to this point. You get that variable run server, run it into a function in Django, okay? This one is really sitting inside one of the packages of Django. One of it's the core management. There's a function. So this function is being called. Now Django starts to work. When he works, he set up this variable, he knows where all the setting to communicate to the server. So when this one is being running, it's automatically, tells the Django applications or Django package, more correctly to say, all go and communicate to the server, okay, using the configurations in this file, and that's what it does. After the server is running, okay, is starting a new process. This program running a process. Okay, so stage number one, when I run this one, it's true, is getting the whole variables, and it called the server. The server is setting up, is ready to go. All the configuration is already set up. When somebody, in this case it's me, click here, is in fact, let me delete this one, close this one. What already happening? See, somebody is like, you know, let me close this one. I don't really have to click there. I just open a browser. I type 127.0.0.1. Port 8000, it's the default. By the way, I many times like to write here, okay, when I run this one, I add 8000. This is the default, so you don't really have to, the same things. But you can call it several times, but that's more advanced topic. When I click on it, all the configuration, Django open a web server, a little one for development. And this one is running. Now, when somebody comes here, types, this one is trying to access, is communicating to the server that's just being opened up here. So when I click here, a new process starts. I communicated to the server. What do I mean by that? I communicated, let's look at this simple chart. I'm here, I typed here in the presentation layer in the browser 127.0.0.1, semicolon 8000. It goes over the internet, in this case go in my computer, because he knows this is taking him to my own computer. And his address, the server of Django is open, and he allows me communication 8000. If I use a different number, it won't let me get any information. Good. It got request for me. Hey, guy, give me something. What do I mean? See, here there is nothing after the 8000. When nothing is after the 8000, the server, when it gets this call, you can see it's here, by the way. It's a get command. It gets ready, and it's on as a 200 request. What I really mean is, stage number one, the server is going to a file the Django have created. It's right under the threads. You see the threads? We have apps, we have media, we talked about setting. We didn't talk about those ones. We'll talk about them later on. But the first things it goes to, it is this file called URLs. I double click. I'm going to talk Chinese now. Is going and look for one of those rows and try to pick up one of those rows. He's looking for the one that it's empty. Why the one that it's empty? Because here, I didn't put anything after the 8000. So if I didn't put anything after the 8000, he goes, he gets to this file, searching for a place here that it's empty. See, here it says admin, here it says empty, and here it's to do. So he's going to stop here. He's going to do something. And I'm telling you what he's going to do. He's going to go to exactly another file with exactly sitting in this location. Threads, apps, main, and that's the name of the file. So let's look where it is. So I will go into the threads, okay, apps, and click on it. There are several applications. He found the main. That's what he told him. Go to the main. When he gets to the main, he looks for a file called URLs. Here it is. So he's going to this place. Double click on it. Oh, he got here. So where is supposed to go? There's so many. Again, this is a different syntax, but it's very similar to here. Path or yours is the same. And I interchange, depends on which version I use. It really doesn't make a difference. I'm trying to convert everything to this one, to the path. But frankly, it doesn't make a difference. Here it says, is it a login? It says a logout. It says a register. No, none of those. Why? I didn't put anything. So This is like regular expression. The R means it's a regular expression starting with something, which is nothing, and ending, mean nothing. You don't really have to even remember that, okay? We mostly use this one, okay? But for now, let's take that one. It means, oh, this is matching, so it's going to execute this. What does it mean to execute this? In fact, what he's doing now is telling you here, go to this function. This is a function. Well, where is that function sitting? If you put your cursor on this one and you click Control B, it will take you to that function. And nicely enough, a new file. In fact, it's really exactly this file. This file, where it takes me. By the way, this is already a function, if you notice. What the name of the function? It's a home. How do I know it is a function? It says diff. We'll learn it in a Python class. So he's going to here. Hey, interestingly, there is a variable and I have no idea what it is for now. We will deal with it a hell of a lot. And then I run a function. What it does inside, we'll talk a lot about what you do inside. Okay? Tal, I'm in another session. Can we talk in the evening after 9 o'clock? Okay, let's talk at 9 o'clock, okay? Okay, thanks. Okay, okay, so this is a function. Well, you know, we define a variable, that's one we know. And then we're calling another function. We haven't written it. We got it as a present from Django, okay? So Django has that functions defined well. If you see here on the top, we import that function from another package of Django. So from whatever it is, this is one of the, you will never remember one of those. Most of the time you'll copy from one place to another. You import very special function. It's called a render. I will give it usually 3 variables and we'll talk about them as we go along. One thing is if you see, title goes here. We're transferring that to that function. We will talk about it. From here, you can think about it. Django creating the presentation layer and sending it to the user. So if you see inside that function, there is HTML, that home HTML, this is really an HTML. So he got to this point, he's sending that HTML. So here is the end of the logical stage. It's the home. Okay, it's finished. So when we got here, and we got here, that's exactly what we got. Hey, by the way, you see home page for trading? You see that? Hey, let's go back here. It's exactly what we're getting here. How about we write just for a test? And now it will be really interesting. Let's go back to here and refresh the screen. And you'll see you see? That's pretty cool. The logical layer not only got information, also helping me to create a presentation layer. That's what I said before. We will get to all of that. It's step by step, okay? Let's just go one more things. Let's go to the to-do. And let's see that logic again. I click to-do. Pay attention what's happening. Hey, did you notice I have this one? 8,000 / to-do. Well, that's interesting. So let's go over that process. It's like I typed here that one. If I type that one, let's see what happened. Oh, let's start all over. We're starting by going to the main one. In the threads, we're going to the URLs. We're looking for one that says to do. Oh, here it is. You see that? This time it's not going to go to here. It's going to go to here. Oh, where is that one? It's going to go into threads, apps, to do URLs. So threads, apps. This time I'm not going to go to the main. I'm going to go to the to do. Well, I got to the to do. It's going to look for a file called URLs. Okay, double click on this one. That's a totally different. So let's close this one. Okay, so I'm here now. This one, I'm looking for the one that has nothing in it, because if you look at here, after the to-do, there is nothing. So he's looking for the one that has nothing inside the to-do file. So in fact, it has only this one. So he's going to go to this function this time. Now it's the stage of the logical state layer to show me what he's going to do for me. I'm going to click B. Oh, here we go. It opened up a view. This time, not from the main. I'm going to close this one. That's what we had before. This time, he's going to the view from the to-do application. That's exactly it. He's going to look for the function called index. And here, that's what he does. Totally different things. But something really interesting. Very similar to what we had in the main. In the end line, is using the same type of function called render. He's calling another HTML, but he's calling, and he's transferring some information. We will learn about it later on. But this is usually the bottom line of those functions, rendering. And there's a lot of other ways to do the same things, sometimes more really nice and elegant. And sometimes this is the right and the best way to do. And as we go along, you'll learn a lot of tricks. This one has one more things we didn't have in the main applications. When I go into here, show you again the home. All what we had here, we define the title, we render it, and we got the HTML, and that's the title somehow got inside here. Here, on the other hand, we have other stuff. We're checking something. We won't get into that right now. And this is a really important line. I'm not going to explain too much about it, but what does it do? What does it do? A second, let's skip that one for now. In fact, usually when you get in the first time, when I got here the first time, it is what is called a get method. I am not really trying to put data. I am only getting something. So this is really a get method. Again, everything I will describe one more time as we get there and we progress. So really, this one doesn't hold the first time, so we can ignore this part for now. But this is really, after it's not, that means I'm getting here. If I'm getting here, okay, that means give me everything. This does, we will learn later on. This is an object that communicates to the database, to the table item. It asks for all the objects, meaning give me all the rows in the table. And Django, meaning in Python, we're getting all the data in this one. And if you have good eye, you see this one is what we transfer to the HTML. How that takes the data and make out of it this one, let me go back to this, is really going to create all of that one here. We will learn. For now, you just get the concept. The concept is, I'm requesting to get to do main page. I got to the index. When I got to the index, inside the logical layer, I write all that code. The objective of that code, pull the data from a table in the database. After you put it in an HTML, send it back to the user. And that's exactly what happened here. When I put this one, I'm getting this one. If I take the to do away, it's like calling the main, enter, I got the main. If I type it again, to do, enter, is activating that one, it pull the data and send me a web page that has all the information that was in the table. So let's sum it up. Do you want to try it or you want me to do it? Liam, how about you do it? Don't worry,
You can
it
do
can be
it.
wrong, that's fine.
You can do it.
Can you do it? I will
I
do
think
it and then you will do it, okay? How about that? I will start and then you will do it your side again. Okay, and Hanoch will help you. Okay? We learned so far that a Django application or projects, I should say, have 3 layers. We have a presentation layer, which is really the screen itself. We have the database layer, which everything's going to be stored there. And we have the logical layer. How do I communicate between the presentation layer to the logical layer? In fact, there are 2 methods. One method is get, one method is post. That's 90%. There's others, but really those are the 2. You can do everything with those 2. Get usually says, give me something. Post, I'm telling him, here is data. I'm sending him data to the logical layer. Okay, that's always a get. When I call that one in this example, I told him, give me something. Okay, I'm not giving you something. I'm just telling you, give me something that relates to this address. What do I mean by that? When I send it to him, I'm not giving him any parameters. I didn't give him any parameters after that. So that means go to the place, which is your main URL. Look for the empty space. Here it is. It gets to here. He knows that it means you want me to go to this file. Okay, I'm going to this file. Main URLs. By the way, if you notice, all application has the same structure. That's the beauty. Now look for something empty. Yeah, this is empty. Start with nothing, end with nothing. That means this is it. Oh, this is the file. Ah, you want me to go there and give you whatever is there. Okay, here we go. It gets to here. And here, in fact, when I wrote this one in the browser, or what I told him, give me this web page. Because I told him, go to this function. And this function, that's what it does. Put this title and give me the home page. And then it put the title right there. How does it do it? It's a different session, okay? But for now, it's just to know the navigation. How does it navigate, okay? So on the other hand, if I go to the to-do, enter, I ask him to give me something else. I gave him a new route. Told him go to the basic, go to to-do, and then find a place that has nothing in the to-do apps. So let's go here. We go again here. Oh, this time we want you to go to the URLs here. Go to the place it says to do. Oh, that means going to this one. Going to this one, it's exactly going here. After that, we have nothing. That means go to here. Hey, going to here, what does it mean? Go to the function index. And the function index is like this function. This time, this function is going to bring me something else, different HTML file. Inside it, it does collect some data from the database. That's a very smart way. It's communicating to the table, pulling the data, giving it to me, creating the index, and send it back to me. That's why I get this page. Okay? So let's really summarize the interactions between those 3 layers. Go ahead, Liam. Sum it up to yourself.
when when you run the server and go into your browser to get the home page, it goes into the PyCharm and goes to the urls.py folder and searches for the page you're looking for, where we only have to do and home. When it gets what you want, it goes to the home, then looks for the urls.py folder and it's the link.
And then it takes you to that function. And that function, it's inside the views of the main, okay? Because we are in the same main, you see? It goes to here. In fact, if you do Control B, it will take you to that function. When it gets to that function, it's returning an HTML we didn't learn how to do and how does it do it. We'll talk about it in another session, but it's sending you this web page. See here, it's nothing, it will send me this page. The other things we have done here in the logical layer, we told him wherever inside here there is a title probably, changes to this title. I'm going to delete it. So we'll see, we'll revert it back. That's we use the get method. We're just getting something. We didn't really put anything. Okay, so we go back. See, it changed the title. Good. Another one we use the get method is clicking on to do. When I click here, really this click, all what it does is putting the word to do here. And he's doing it for me. So you get this one goes again to the manual. You check where is the to do. There it is. And it means it goes to these applications to do to that file. That file, it's really it's really just this one. Here he's looking for the empty because after the to do, we didn't put anything. That means I want him to go to the index function. The index function, in fact, it's a get function. I didn't put any data there. So he's running, doing his own job and pulling, the other thing's important, is pulling data from the database. How do we do that? We will learn, don't worry about it. For now, I'm just telling you, this is what the line is doing. Putting all the data from the database, this table called item. And then after it gets all of them, is asking this one, please take that once and build up the web page with those information. How does it do it? That's for another session. And after he's building it up, he's sending it, rendering it to the user. That's why when we have to do, it will render all the list that they pull from the database. That's end of the story. That's the interactions between those three layers. Okay, this is really a basic structure of a Django, and it's beautiful. Why is it beautiful? There's nothing here that is not Python. This is a function of Python. This is an object, we will see. Item is an object. And we will see later on when we learn how to use Django to create a database tables with Python. And we'll learn about how to do it next session. For now, I'm just telling you it's an object. There's not how to communicate to the database. It's all Python. And the beauty here, whoever wrote Django have written a special objects to make tables. We inherit from it. We'll see it next time. And later we can utilize a lot of functions. By the way, objects, it's a function. Objects, it's a function of the object's item. And that object has another function called, in fact, sorry, objects is an object of items, and objects has a function called all. And that's really beautiful, okay? By the way, if you really want to know the structure of this, if you do Control B, yeah, it doesn't go there because it's installed it in the environment. But this is really defined by Django, but it's compiled. When we install, it's not the original Python, it's the compiled one. So that's why I didn't go there. But many times you will find, see the render, if that one will give me, let's go there, Control B, see. Yeah, here we go. You see the render, I didn't write this function. It was written by the people who wrote Django. This is part of the Django framework. And here it's being installed. You see under Django, if you see on the screen, there is a file called shortcuts.py. That's the file you're seeing here. There's a lot of functions, redirect, render, a lot of them. As over time, get objects of 404. You will see those functions as you go along, especially when you get to the mid-level or advanced level. Resolve URL, there's a lot, but it goes with time. You don't have to know all of that right away. Render to respond, all those functions sitting there, okay? So it's beautiful. Django is written by Python, and we're using Python to write a whole application with Django, which is really nice, very, very nice. I will conclude the session for today just to, to open the next session. Look at what do we have here. In fact, the truth of the matter is that I kind of cheating, that you will see, we'll learn later on. I need really to change this function. We'll do it in the next session. This is really useless. If I delete it, nothing will happen because this one is overriding this one, okay? But this one is doing one thing that this one only pulling the data, but this one is putting data in the database. One more time. This one is putting data in the database. That's why when we have a create, is creating a new row in the database in the table called item, and we're transferring data to him. We take the data called item text just so you can really just get a feeling to it. If I write print, and I'll put in parentheses what it gives me here. That will be the end of the sessions for today. I'm just putting it here so you get a sense of it. Let's restart the server. Good. Now, let's go back to the program. Let's go here one more time. Close this one. I'm going to do. You see, we got that one. Now I'm typing here, okay? Let's call it view, create function. Just the comment that I'm writing. Now I'm clicking submit. When I'm submitting, the method of communicating now, it will be a post. Okay, I'm not getting, I'm posting information. Okay, so he's expecting information from me. The information he's going to get, it's whatever I'm typing here. So when I click in here, he got that information, he updated the database, he brought it back here. But let's see what happened in the middle. If you have a good eye here, you see here what it says here? This is the print that I said here. So this time, it got to the index. The method was really a post. That's why it stopped here. It printed that on the console. That's why it printed this one, view create function. And later on, it put it in the database and he moved on to his life, pulling all the data and showing it to me. So summarize the last part. There is two ways that I communicate between the presentation layer to the logical layer. One is a method called get, and one is a method called post. In a get, I'm only asking for an information. In a post, I'm sending information. The logical layer does what it needs to be done. In this case, obtaining the database. And then it can bring me other stuff as well, yeah? But the key point in a post, I'm transferring data to the logical layer, and according to the function it gets to there, he knows what to do with that data and most likely put it in the database. Sometimes I'm pushing something and I don't really need to put it in the database. Sometimes I just tell the logical, give me all the stuff that Amos have written into the table. Later on, we will learn he's not putting anything, he's just putting some part of the data, okay? So I can push some data to the logical, not only to update the database, but also telling the logical layer which information I would like him to bring me back, okay? I think this is a little heavy session conceptually. We finally integrating what we learn in database, what we learn in Python. We put it together to describe what Django is all about. We haven't dived yet to all the components, but we did go over the routing of the request up to the point it gets to the right function in the logical layer, and that logical layer functions, does whatever it needs to do, and send me an HTML to the user. Okay, thank you. Does that make sense? Hanoch, Liam?
Yes.
You start seeing the light, yeah? We worked hard so far. Now we're finally seeing an application.
Liam, if you have some free time, you can see on Academy City, there is a video about Django, what we did today, and I recommend you seeing it. It doesn't speak about what we did specifically, but it speaks in general about Django.
That's a good comment by Hanoch. Liam, start developing the skill of learning on your own. And take my word for it. If you see a video and you do not understand anything, nothing happened. Your brain have absorbed something. Then you go to another videos, you hear those sessions, and all of a sudden, something that didn't make any sense, oh, finally it makes sense. And that's the advanced method of studying. You know, smart students are the ones that are able to handle things they don't understand. You know, that's smart students. Student that needs everything to be in line, and then the only way that they can understand it when everything is in line, they're average student. When you can jump from one to another, but eventually you converge and have a beautiful understanding, that's beautiful. Now the world is many people making beautiful videos, but not always you're ready for them. On the other hand, they already have something you can take for. So Hanoch is recommending to see a video. That video might have some stuff I didn't cover. See if you can understand them. If you understood them, great for you. You didn't understand them, don't be discouraged. That's fine. It will make sense later on. Okay? So always look at videos, even on your own, in addition to the one we posted. Now, beautiful materials. What we're doing in this course, we're making an order for you, and it will kind of make sense, everything's come together. Okay, that's the end.